we heard a crash. Oh my God, there's needles everywhere on the floor. The bucket is like in the out the desk and it's tipped over, and we had needles all over the room. How is that even possible? Like, I was programming the equipment, and then I suddenly saw a shadow walk past me, and I thought it went to the bathroom.
Was it the driver that was supposed to come pick up the supplies?
That's what I thought. So I text my friend and I was like, hey, is that you messing with me? I'm like, hey, listen, don't mess with me like that. I'm like already scared being here by myself, right? And I'm like, and it's not like the safest areas. I'm like, I could get kidnapped, right?
Yeah, seriously.
And he was like, I'm like 20 minutes away. I'm like, listen, I don't care what happens to this equipment. I'm leaving it in the back, and I'm gonna just run out this building. Hi, welcome to the Magnetic Mismatch Show. This is Linda.
And this is Will, and it's Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Do you like Halloween? Is it Halloween or is it Halloween? How do you say it?
Tomatoes.
Some people are very picky and particular about that.
Yeah.
They get very offended. It's like, it's not Halloween, it's Halloween or Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm neutral on the holiday. It's not something that we always celebrated as kids. Like, the only time I remember doing something was if there was like a school activity that we had to dress up for. I remember one year in elementary school, I dressed up as Lisa from the Simpsons.
Lisa? Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, and my brother dressed up as
So you had
Bart.
like the spiky hairs and like pearl necklace?
It was like I think it was like the dress. And then it's like a mask.
Oh, you wore the Lisa mask?
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you doing that, actually. You have a fake picture somewhere?
Yeah, I think I do in my parents' house, probably.
All right, we'll have you post it up on Instagram.
If I could find it.
Yeah, I actually really like Halloween. I don't know, it's just something about like candy, right? You get, I have these childhood memories, like when we used to dress up in costumes and stuff, and I don't know, it's just something about getting into a costume is kind of nice.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
I can see the value.
You can't take it too seriously. No. You know what I mean?
No, and I think it's just, I think my parents were very cautious when it came to Halloween, just because during I think it still happens now, but like the poisonous candies.
Jeez.
Or like the razor blades and like candies and stuff.
Oh yeah, so, there was that whole time.
That was so they were very cautious. So even though we did go trick-or-treating, we never ate the candies unless it was like that rare time when we went to the mall to trick-or-treat or something.
Yeah.
But if it's from the neighborhood, I would never eat those candies.
You know what's crazy? Like, thinking back, we didn't get to trick-or-treat very often. I think we did it maybe like once or twice, and that was it. And every time, like you said, it was at the mall. Mm-hmm. Which is not really trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
Because,
I just feel like people do it less and less now. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's because of the danger associated with it, but I feel like it doesn't happen as, because like even my parents' house, right? Like back then we would get trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Actually quite a decent amount. But now, like the recent years, like we don't even get like a knock on the door.
Really? Yeah, you're right.
It's very weird.
I remember like we used to like I don't know if I want to admit this, but like we used to be like those families where when trick-or-treaters would come by, or we knew, it's like, oh, the lights would go out because we didn't have candy. Like my mom and like she wouldn't celebrate it. She's like, oh, like ghosts and ghouls and this and that. She's like, she just didn't really celebrate it as a holiday. But it's like, as much as we wanted, we were hoping like, oh, she would buy bags of candies and like pass them out. Nope, never did that.
We did it. My mom used to do it when we were younger at our previous home.
Yeah,
because it was a gated house.
Uh-huh.
The first house when I first moved to America.
Okay.
It was like one of those where it's like open streets, and we lived across an elementary school, so it was fairly safe. Yeah, so we did give out candies because we would stand in the front. But we lived next to this lady's house. I'm not gonna say her name, but she was giving out candies like that block.
Oh, so she attracted
It's like the whole block was giving candies,
Oh,
and we
okay, I
didn't want to
see.
feel like we were left out, right?
See, that's the thing. Like the street that I grew up on, like first of all, it's on this really, you've been there.
Yeah,
Like,
it's scary hill.
it's a scary, spooky, like narrow hill, uphill. It's only like, you know, those, it's so narrow that it's like only one car can come in one direction at a time. And so it was like really dark up there. And yeah, like you're right. Our street, nobody really did hand out candies. So maybe it wasn't just my mom.
Yeah. But then when I moved to, the second house, we didn't do candies there. Only the first house.
I see.
It's weird.
Parents for sure are more wary nowadays, I think.
Yeah.
Like just because there's so many crazies out there, right? And you hear stories all
I
the
think
time.
it's because we got egged. I'm not sure.
You got egged before?
Yeah. Egged and toilet papers. So I think that's when my mom's like, nope, we're staying in the house and, just staying safe. Yeah.
I think the one time that I can remember when we did do trick-or-treating, we were so excited because we never, like our parents would never let us like go out and do that. I was dressed as a vampire. So that was really fun. And my cousins and I, we all went to the mall. We got like a bunch of candy, in those little like baskets, like jack-o'-lantern baskets. And man, like I remember just feeling so victorious when we got back with our candy haul, just pouring out all those candies.
Yeah.
It's like the best.
But
So
my
you
mom
felt rich.
my mom collected those because we didn't get to eat them. But she'll replace them with like a handful of safe candies.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah. But
even from the mall?
Oh no, from the mall we were able to eat. But like from the streets, like from people's houses, like we weren't able to eat those.
Just being a little cautious.
Yeah, she would take those back, but
Makes
then she'll
sense.
replace it with like a nice little.
I don't think I'd be comfortable eating other like strangers' candies either.
Now
that I know better. Maybe as a kid I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. But talking about like
Halloween.
Halloween and like, old neighborhoods that we grew up on. So when I was little, we would always.
Are we sharing ghost stories? Spooky stories?
Yeah,
nice.
Because it's a Halloween special, so we're talking about the paranormal and the unexplainable.
Oh my goodness,
right.
I love this topic.
Yeah, me too. It's like it always interests me. Like even though I've never, I can't say that I've ever seen a ghost, right? But I've felt things, but I've never outright seen a shadow or maybe. Well, I don't know. We'll get into the stories later.
Okay.
But anyway, so talking about neighborhoods. So there's this. I'm not gonna name the fast food joint because the listeners are smart and I feel like they can track down the location.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get in trouble for that or anything. But there's this fast food place we used to eat at when I was growing up. Right, we would drive to the location. And the building next door was like a place where they would like, I don't know if they cremated people or they did embalmment or I'm not sure, but it was one of those facilities, right? It's like a building. And this was before we moved into that neighborhood. We knew of that building. And, years goes by. The business went away. And someone actually bought that building and they turned it into like an apartment complex / office space, right? And my parents and I, we would always wonder, like, is someone actually living there, right? Because
well, how would you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. It's like it looks extra luxurious from the inside.
Yeah.
It's like very like
looks like a normal.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. And if no one told you, you wouldn't know. And
or if you didn't like grow up in that area, you'd have no idea.
You had no idea, exactly. So, they were at that time, when we saw them fixing it up, we're like, what are they making it into? And then I guess it turns out to be apartment complex / working space, whatever you choose to do with it. But it's weird because it was always empty. Like it seemed like no one lives there until this day. It's like, it's so weird. It's like we would be shocked to see a light on.
I was gonna ask, wouldn't you guys see like lights on at night or
Once in a
anything like
while,
that?
yeah. So,
Oh.
but then,
It may be somebody like a shadow standing at the
no.
window.
Oh,
You
don't
can
say
see the
that.
silhouette.
No, like lights would sometimes it looks like someone is living there, and then for a short period of time, and then it would just completely disappear. Like then the building would go empty again.
So people don't stay there long term.
It does
sounds like.
not seem like it. Yeah.
I wonder why.
But that's the thing. But it's interesting because even when I try to, Google the address or, haunted places in that area, like nothing shows up. The only interesting thing I found was that there's a high school close by to that area that used to be a cemetery, but now it's a high school. So that's the only thing I found on the area. But no, it had like I don't see any like I've seen shadows on a Yelp review.
Yeah,
or,
right. You hear like stories. Usually, like if that kind of stuff happens, I would think word gets around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it is strange because I don't see anything getting around, or that or online. Maybe they talk about it, but maybe they didn't take the time to write about it.
Or people just prefer like, oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, or they're just spooked out. It's like
out,
I guess if they don't talk about it, then it's not true,
it's
right?
not real.
It's not real, yeah. So that's one thing. I'm always curious. Like I don't have the guts to like. They have open houses sometimes.
Oh,
and
you want to do that? You want to just go
I'm scared. Like when it comes to spirits and stuff, like I just don't mess around. Yeah, I really don't, because just because we can't see it, I feel like it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist,
or
right?
that you can't explain it with science. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
and I don't want to disturb anything I shouldn't be disturbing.
I think at a young age, especially because my mom's very superstitious, like when it comes to that realm, right? The supernatural, the paranormal, the stuff that can't really be explained. I always err on the side of caution too. I'm just like, you know what? I don't know if it's real, but I'm gonna just assume that it's real, and that way, I'm not gonna piss anything off or whatever, and have none of the bad stuff following me around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And growing up, like my grandma would tell me ghost stories.
Oh, yeah.
And she told me like I don't know, the story has always kind of traumatized me. I'm kind of scared to go to sleep sometimes because when I think about her story, I get scared.
Even now?
Yeah, sometimes.
To this day?
Yeah. And I know my grandma's not gonna lie to me about her experience, right? Or so she said that she was sleeping one day, and keep in time, this is during the wartime in Vietnam. She was sleeping at a relative house in a little village, and she's sleeping, and then suddenly, like in her dreams, a guy shows up, like all bandaged up, pulling her, asking her to come with him. Right. And she remembered vividly, like screaming, "No, I'm not going to come with you." And he kept grabbing her arm and pulling her with him in her dream. And he's like, he looked like a wounded
like a soldier.
Yeah, like because he was all wrapped up. And it turns out, I think like weeks later, they dug up a body nearby.
No way.
Yeah, nearby, a wounded soldier that had gotten buried nearby the area that she was at.
Oh, man.
So she wonders if it's him that was pulling her.
I mean, who else is it?
Yeah, so so that story has been...
She swears by it?
Yeah, she swears by it. She tells it to my mom. My mom tells me, reminds me of the story. I'm like, okay, Mom, it's bad enough that grandma's already telling me. You don't need to remind me of the story.
Let me reinforce the story to make sure you believe.
I'm already traumatized, okay? I'm like scared to go to sleep because I'm like, am I safe in my sleep,
man.
right?
it's kind of silly, right? But at the same time, because we're adults now,
Yeah.
and yet these kind of fears still kind of carry on with you, especially if you've been traumatized as a kid or you had an experience like that, or someone told you a certain story.
Yeah.
And I think we all have heard stories, right, from our parents or friends or somebody, and it sticks. It
Yeah.
just
But
creeps
it's
you out.
worse when it's someone you know and you're close and you trust.
You trust their word, right? They're not the type that would just make stuff up like that.
Yeah, and that's a weird story to make up, right? It's too good to make up.
Yeah, I think. I mean, and I think I told you this story before too, where when I was a kid and we were sleeping over at one of my parents' friends' house, like as a kid, you guys would always like play over at each other's houses or whatever, right? And we got to sleep over one time at their house, and I remember, I don't know how old I was. I think I was like maybe 10 or something like that, 10 or 11. And it's a 2-story house, and in the middle of the night, you know how you get thirsty and you just want to get a glass of water. Why is it always like that, right?
Yeah.
It's always when you want to wake up in the middle of the night to get a damn glass of water.
Yeah.
I need to put just like a bottle of water like right by my bedside.
That's why I do it every night. I put
Is that the reason why? So you don't have to get out of bed?
Go out to the kitchen crazy.
But yeah, I was thirsty, and I went downstairs to get a damn glass of water. And of course, I forget what time it is, but their house is, they turn off all the lights, as you can imagine. They don't leave any lights on at that time. So I was kind of like stumbling a little bit in the kitchen, and I was trying to find the damn light. So I finally found the light, turned it on, fine, didn't think anything of it, and then filled up my glass of water. And then as soon as I turned off the light, like I saw like this bride or something, like in a wedding dress.
What?
Like a bloody wedding dress. No joke. Like I swear by it. Like I remember it so vividly. And she was just like holding. I don't know if
scream?
I don't remember if I screamed or not. I think I don't know if I was just in shock or something. But I like when your body goes into so much shock that you can't even scream. Or you don't know what to expect. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I remember I froze. I do remember I froze. I was like, oh my God. And you know that feeling, like whenever something's scary or something's weird, and your body instinctually I got tensed, and I remember getting goosebumps, and I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it, because I remember it so vividly. It's like this it's the freaking scary movies. It's crazy how accurate that stuff is. Where it was like she was just standing there with her hair down and like a little blood on her dress, white dress, and she was just staring at me. And then I freaking ran up after I kind of like came to my senses, because I froze for like a little bit, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm surprised I didn't drop the glass of water.
Yeah.
But I remember just running upstairs and then like hiding in my bed. I don't think I woke anybody either, which is weird, right? Like what kind of reaction is that?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was something that like kept me from, I froze so much.
Was it like a shadow, or did you see like
No, it was like it looked like a person.
What?
Like, oh, I'm just getting like,
okay,
I'm getting goosebumps like that. That's why like it was so funny, because every time, like as a kid, you know how like you would, I mean, after having an experience like that or what, or maybe it was all the scary movies I would watch. I don't know. Maybe it was a figment of my imagination, but it was damn real to me at that time.
That's why it's like sometimes, yeah, I don't know if it's real or it's your brain,
or it's like you're sleepy, half asleep,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my mom tried to tell me, because I told her about it, obviously, but she wouldn't believe me, of course. And I told the people that lived there, like, hey, like this happened, and nobody would believe me. And I guess it's hard, right? Unless you actually saw it yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of far-fetched,
Yeah.
But I remember after that, and anytime I would watch scary movies, as a kid, it's like when it's like the movie's over, like you're watching Freddy Krueger or like whatever, and you're scared. It's a scary movie. Then it's like, all right, it's time for bed. Got to turn off the lights, got to run to your room.
And then put the blanket over your head.
I would always run to the room and put the blanket over my head, but I would turn on all the freaking lights.
Like that's going to protect you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I refused, because my mom would be like, turn off the lights. What are you doing? I'm like,
I'm scared.
Yeah. Can I just leave the lights on? And you know how like when you go from one room to the next, you would have to turn off the light for
Yeah.
the room that you're not in, and then go. I would turn on all the lights and then just leave it on. My mom would get so mad. She's like, "What are you doing? Are you asleep?" It's
Yeah.
crazy. But even when you get into bed and you feel safe, like it's so stupid, right? Like that blanket's not gonna protect you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're shielded from all the scary stuff.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, I hear a noise now. Like your imagination starts running.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember being afraid to look under my bed too. That's like the classic
That's a
thing.
classic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like I would always if I dropped something, I refuse to pick it up. Yep. Until the next day.
It's like as if lying on top of the bed protects you.
Right. It's so crazy. And then of course it's also like when even the closet, like I don't know why I have all this trauma from this. It's for sure got to do with like the scary movies or something.
It has to be.
Era.
But I don't know. I believe in like a sixth sense. I mean, I feel like for some people, it's
what, seeing dead people?
Not seeing dead people, but I feel like sometimes like, there like you can feel a presence of something that is
for sure
abnormal, right?
Or something's not right.
Yeah, something is not right. It's kind of like that gut instinct that people tell you to trust, right? It's like, I feel like, through evolution, thousands and thousands of years of evolution, like we must have, how they say that dogs can see ghosts?
Really?
Yeah, that's what they say. And, like different animals.
They definitely have heightened senses.
Yeah, like different animals have like different wavelengths that they can see, just different things like energy that they can pick up on. Yeah. So I feel like, through thousands of years of evolution, like we must have, retained some of that.
Developed that.
Yeah, it's
like primal instinct.
Yeah,
right?
Or we've, taken it with us, or it's still kind of there, but it's not like something that we use or that it's as important anymore. But at some point I feel like it may be important for survival.
It may have been, maybe something that's helped us along the way.
Yeah, helped us survive, along the way. But I mean, I'm not saying that, there's a point where ghosts were attacking humans. That's not what I'm saying.
Maybe there's a secret war you don't even know about.
It's that's not what I'm saying, but it's
meant
something.
to,
It's meant to guide us in many different ways.
Well, it's kind of like, so at the end of the day, we're still animals, right? And if you look at any like animals in the nature, like they have through evolution develop certain things to protect themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean,
so probably for us, it's like, why do we get goosebumps? Why does the hair stick up on our back? Or whatever. Or not on our back, you got a hairy back. But like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But it's kind of like, so there was a time, I remember you and I, we were looking at houses in LA.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Remember that house?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so it's weird things like that.
Well, tell them.
I am. I am. I'm just getting creeped out,
You're like, I am going to, but reluctantly. I don't know if I should.
But so we've been to a lot of open house, just looking at, just to see what is out in the market, right? And it's usually like, oh, it's cute or charming, or oh, it's not for us, or it's wow, bright, it's beautiful, but it's always very superficial, right? It's never like creepy or anything. Even if the house is old, it's like, oh, the house is old, like nothing.
Yeah, it's just old looking, run down.
Yeah, run down, no big deal. Like it's just, oh, it's too much work for us. Everything has always been superficial. It's nothing.
Yeah, you're actually talking about the physical like appearance of the home.
Yeah. But this one time, we went to an open house, and as soon as we walked into the house, like we didn't say anything to each other, but as soon as
we looked at each other,
but I wasn't sure if he was feeling it or it's just me. But like as soon as I walked into the house, I felt freaked out, like something didn't feel right. Something felt cold. Like,
yeah, that's the feeling.
My senses were heightened. I was getting goosebumps, and my body felt like I didn't want to take a tour of that house anymore. Like I just wanted to get out of the house. Like we were polite and we looked around a little bit more, um but I refused to go to the bedrooms or anything.
I was just gonna say, I remember exactly what happened. So like the realtor brought us in,
Yeah.
and then like we kind of like looked at each other. We were very cautious, and keep in mind,
And
this
we didn't
was
say anything.
no, we didn't say anything. Keep in mind, during this time, I believe it was like in the middle of summer too,
Yeah.
so it was very hot.
It was very hot.
Very hot, and inside this place, they didn't have the AC on.
No, it was just open doors.
Because it was a very old like building, right?
Yeah, they didn't have central
no AC
or heat.
But it felt cold, like a chill, like a very uncomfortable chill. And I remember distinctly that we walked in and then we were kind of like looking around, and she's like, "Oh, the bedrooms are down there." She didn't even want to go. Our realtor didn't even want to go down. She's just like, "Oh, you can go look down.
You can go
the
explore.
rooms are go explore. Just kind of go, right?" Usually the houses,
walk.
the houses that we were looking at prior to that one, she would like, kind of almost hold her hand in a way to like, "Oh, here's this room, kind of describing each room or whatever and feature." This she's like, "Nah, so the rooms are down there. Feel free to explore." And we did not. We refused.
Yeah, something told me not to go.
You know what was weird about the layout too? It was like, so you have the entrance when you walk in. It's a decently spaced, but to get to the bedrooms, it was like a narrow like hallway.
Yeah.
What freaking? It's always a damn hallway. I'm just like expecting something to pop out or like whatever. But it was like a weird layout, and the room just like, you know how you can feel like some sort of energy or something?
Something
was off.
Something was off, and something clearly scared me.
Yeah, it didn't feel welcoming.
No.
It didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So I know it might sound crazy, like somebody listening to it's like, that was like a figment of your imagination or something, right?
Yeah.
But I really believe that, because it's weird, like we were saying, you and I didn't say anything to each other, but we felt the same damn thing.
Yeah, and it's weird how like if you didn't feel that, you would have been like, "Oh, let's look at the house to be polite," right? But the fact that both of us were like, "Oh yeah, let's just. I don't think this is for us. Thank you."
And then we moved. Yeah, we were like, "Let's go look at the next house." But didn't she tell us what it was, or no? We looked it up later.
I don't know.
Do you remember what it was, or no?
Someone passed away or something?
No. I found out. Looking at the history,
I don't think I did. I think I was just spooked out.
I got curious.
Think I just blocked that memory out of my head.
Because we found it odd, because it was huge and it was a very low price too. That's why we wanted to look at it in the first place. I think it had like a lot of rooms. I think like 4 or 5 rooms or something ridiculous. And then I'm like looking at the history and did a little research after we saw it, because we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And then it found out it was like an old, like a senior living place or something. That it used to be that before it was like a facility, and then now they sold it as just like a regular,
like a house.
Yeah, with multiple rooms.
I wonder if I know this is like going to a dark space, but I wonder if like they were mistreated or.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's some unrest there.
Yeah.
Like there's some sort of energy that just didn't feel right. Like there was like a feeling of something's angry or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't explain that.
No, I couldn't explain it either.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because like you were saying, like our bodies were just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
And your gut is just telling you something is not right. Get the hell out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like talking about haunted, I think like my first job here,
yeah.
that building, I think that building was haunted. Even one of the ladies who did like our intake work, she refuses to sit in that building by herself. Like if everyone was leaving, she would leave too, even if she had work to do.
So give them a little bit of backstory, because the amount of time or like the hours. that
Yeah.
you were
So the hours were late, right? The facility opened up at 8 and then we closed at like 9 p.m. But you can stay. It's one of those offices where if you had a badge, you could enter. So basically it's open 24 hours. You can enter, exit. But
is there usually any other people there?
no, but usually after 9,
Everybody's out.
everyone is gone.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes like she'll have like late work and she may want to stay, a little longer. But as soon as people leave, she'll leave too. And then I asked her why. She's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's not a good energy here, and she would like sage her desk and like. Try to cleanse the air and this.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and at first I was like, okay, that's odd, but
you didn't think
for
of it.
myself, I didn't think anything of it, right? Until this one Saturday, I was working with a group of staff, and we do sterile compounding, so we have all these like needles that we throw away, and we had a bucket of needles that fit perfectly inside underneath it's kind of like underneath the desk, but the desk has a hook
compartment.
Yeah, but the desk has a hook, so if it does even tip over, it would be you can't. The only way you could take that giant sharps container, it was like at least like 3 feet high out of the underneath, was if you tilt it like a good like 75 degrees and then pull it out.
Okay.
That's the only way you can take out that bucket. Because if not, it'll get
so it has
stuck.
to be very precise
because if not, it'll get trapped underneath the desk.
Yeah. So, I don't like where you're going with this.
We were just having lunch and we heard a crash. Like we're like, whoa, what was that, right? And we were looking for this thing, and then one of the our technicians entered the building after it's like a separate
this
little
was during
facility.
The daytime, you said, right? Lunch?
You have to enter a different room to go into that place because it's blocked off from the building. Because it enters, runs out, and was like, oh my god, there's needles everywhere on the floor. The bucket is like in the out the desk, and it's tipped over, and we had needles all over the room. Needles, like just syringes, equipment's like on the floor, and we're like, whoa.
Has that happened ever before? That was the first time?
That was the first time. And till this day, I still talk about it with the person that I experienced that with.
Yeah.
Like how is that even possible? So they... Yeah.
And it was only you guys in there.
It was only us. I mean, I no longer work there. Thank God.
Was that the reason you bounced?
No.
Wasn't there another time? Is that the same employer where when you were there by yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And then,
my God. Okay. So then after that incident, I don't know if it's now I'm just being paranoid or not, but I got called into the office at like 10 p.m. because of an emergency.
Yeah.
That happened. So I had to, rush out some equipment. So I was there super late. I called my driver, which is also my friend at the office. And, I was like programming some equipment. And suddenly, keep in mind, my desk was like where is the walkway. And when you walk down that walkway through my desk is to the bathroom, the men's bathroom. So I sat like not too far. So you would have to walk to my desk to go to the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
And I saw I was programming the equipment. And then I suddenly saw a shadow walk past me, and I thought it went to the bathroom.
Was it the driver that was supposed to come pick up the supplies?
That's what I thought. So I text my friend, and I was like, hey, is that you messing with me? Please don't mess with me at this time. It's late.
How late was it?
It's like 10 p.m.
10 p.m. It was dark. Nobody's supposed to be there.
No one is there.
Yeah.
I'm by myself. And I'm like, hey, listen, don't mess with me like that. I'm like already scared being here by myself, right? And I'm like... And it's not like the safest areas. I'm like, I could get kidnapped, right?
Yeah, seriously.
And he was like, I'm like 20 minutes away. And
How did you feel
and I
at that
called him
point?
and I'm like, listen, I don't care what happens to this equipment. I'm leaving it in the back, and I'm gonna
I
just
am
run out of this
out.
building. I am out of this. I literally just ran out of the building,
Oh
locked.
my
I used my
goodness.
badge, locked up the building, and I literally just left the equipment
Oh.
hanging at the back door because I refuse to. I'm like, I am not gonna wait for you. I don't care if someone still
Oh
needs the equipment.
man.
It's like this there, you pick it up and call it a day.
Wow. You
Yeah.
just bounced,
So, but
like
I don't know
flew
if
out of
it's my
there.
imagination because I'm already like,
Scaring yourself.
scaring myself.
Just because it was late and it was like one of the
Yeah,
few times you had to
that one incident that happens
the one
before,
prior. Yeah.
and then the lady freaking me out with her saging her seat. It's like I don't know.
That doesn't help when you see somebody like walking around like with her sage or whatever. It's kind of like
Cleansing the air.
um,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
So I don't know if it's my imagination. I'm tired.
All I know, and I don't know, I can't speak for you on that, is like if that happened to me, I would probably have reacted the same way. And
Yeah.
I don't mess with that stuff. Like,
But it's weird. I mean, I saw someone walking across me like a shadow, but I didn't hear the bathroom door open or anything.
it sounds like those horror movies where it's like, guys, stop messing with me. And then it's like actually something.
Wait, don't say that. Now I'm scared. Now I can't sleep at night. Stop.
It's crazy though, right? Like, because your body probably felt something,
Yeah.
like a it's weird, like how like if you're doing something, for example, like you're reading or you're doing something, and even if it's somebody like they're
if they're looking at you,
you feel it,
you
right?
feel it.
Is it? I'm not crazy to think that, right? You can feel someone's like glare, or like they're looking at you, or it's weird. It's like a sense I think that humans we have, but like we don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess some people say it's like that X factor, right? Those unexplainable things. But I think it's the same way when it comes to like paranormal stuff or something like out of this otherworldly, where something happens and your body just knows, but then you can't make sense of it logically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like when you feel like you're in danger, right?
Right.
People always say, listen to it.
Spidey sense. It's like your spidey sense.
Listen to it. Listen to your gut feelings because it's most likely very accurate. Like, don't ignore it.
Sometimes you do though, or you tell yourself, oh, it's just, you try to rationalize it. You know what I mean?
Because it's hard to, you can't justify something going, oh, it was my gut feeling.
Right.
But sometimes that's the difference between you being safe and not.
So like, how like with that kind of stuff and you have a sense of it, have you ever played Ouija board?
No.
I played it one time when I was in middle school, like with some friends, and it was so stupid. Like it was in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. We were outside, like in a woodsy area too. Mm-hmm. And we were playing Ouija board for the first. Me, it was my first time, and it was one of our stupid friends. Like, come on, guys, it's cool, like it's fun, right? Like, just ask it a question. And dude, I remember playing that thing, and at first, you kind of just like, somebody's moving it, right? Like, because so the Ouija board is basically, for people that don't know, it's like this board with letters on it, right? And then you have like this little, I don't know, like a hover.
Yeah, like a little triangle hover where it lands on different words.
Yeah, it goes, it's supposed to, like, or a spirit, letters, technically a spirit is supposed to guide your hand. So you all have to put your hand on that little triangle thingy, and that's going to point to the letters, so as if it's spelling something out, And so I remember, like, of course, when you're asking it a question, you ask simple things like, am I going to be happy, or what, am I going to be rich, or whatever, right? Stuff like that. And then it would just move technically. And at first you would think it's just your friends. Mm-hmm. But then I remember, like, you feel something. Like, we asked it, like, oh, what's going to happen to so-and-so's dog? Mm-hmm. And it spelled out like dead. Like, no joke. It spelled out dead. Again, I don't know if it was like one of a friend's baby playing a goof, but everyone was like freaked out afterwards. And then like a couple of weeks later, I remember one of our friends that had a dog, because that's why we were freaked out. We're like, wait, you have a dog, right? Let's call him Gary. Gary had a dog, and the name was Fido or whatever. Let's just call it Fido.
Okay.
and,
I never heard a dog
Fido,
named Fido, but okay.
what? Cujo? Fido? Kudo?
Okay. Sure.
All right. Anyway, Fido got hit by a car. It died. Like, I think it was like 3 weeks or something later. And what's crazy is after that experience, none of us talked about it ever again. But it was just like, I don't know. It was one of those things where literally the point of the game is like you're kind of like summoning, right? Like a ghost or a spirit or a demon or something, or you don't really know what you're summoning. You're just asking questions, and then something is supposed to answer the call and then like guide it.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like, that's why I just, after that experience, I'm like, I am never playing this game again. Yeah. And I don't want to mess in that realm because I don't understand it. And you don't know what you're awakening or you're attracting.
Yeah.
You know,
they could follow you.
Yeah. Like my mom would tell me these stories about like when she was a little girl in China, and, you know, like some of the things that they saw, like, it's just, it sticks with you, you know, and you never forget it. Right. And she would talk about like, yeah, like they would try to ward off like certain ghosts, and you have people that's what they specialize in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
you have priests that are specialized
exorcists
in that. Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And it, like I think you mentioned prior to like when I was talking on here, but we were talking about like how there's in every culture you hear about stuff like that, right? And that's the thing, when you know there's some sort of reality, there's got to be some truth to it. You know what I mean? How can like for example, Asian countries and European countries that are completely separated, let's say years and years ago,
they have very similar experiences or similar things, or
they describe something similar, right? Like vampires or ghosts or whatever.
Like a spirit,
they saw something,
evil spirit,
or
they see something, or or even religion. Even if you take culture out of it, religion, like every religion has a mention of something,
some sort of evil, bad spirit,
or there's good spirits too. I believe in good spirits as well.
Like what? Give me an example of a good spirit.
I don't know. I think there's good spirit, like, you know, I always believe like, you know,
like a guardian angel or something,
or like one of our relatives who loves you, you know, it's out there to protect you. Right. I believe in that. You know, there are moments when, you know, all of us, right, we're in danger, but it's like somehow miraculously
you get saved, and
you get saved.
It's like, what are the odds of something like that happening?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's like when it reminds me of a story. It's so weird, but it just came to my mind. But we had a water like a water boiler. It exploded, right?
Wait, where?
Like when we were little, like when I was little with my dad. I was standing,
house?
Yeah, at my dad. Yeah, so I was standing next to my dad, and it just started spewing, and then he didn't know. He opened it. He got splattered with hot water on his face, but luckily
it wasn't boiling water.
It was,
or was
yeah, he got burned.
But wasn't okay.
Yeah, he burned. Wow. He got burned pretty badly on his face. But luckily it didn't get infected. It healed very nicely. But it's so strange that I was standing next to my dad, but I didn't get burned with one drop of water. Isn't that weird? Like I'm like, okay, the water splattered, the hot water splattered on him, but yeah, I didn't get burned one bit. No water, no wetness, no nothing.
Wow.
Right? I'm like, and I was young.
You're right. I do believe that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, and till this day, sometimes I think back at that moment, and I'm like, how's that possible? If it's a water splatter,
something you would think something,
I would have
drop or something.
Yeah, or like I would have gotten hit with, not even if it's not a lot, with something. Right? To this day, I'm wondering how I walked out of that moment like with not even like a burn, a
right.
drop, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe someone or
Yeah.
something was watching out for you.
Yeah, that moment still freaks me out too.
You hear stories though, like of that, right? Like
Yeah.
unbelievable, unexplainable situations where like I've even seen like some of those videos, you know, like where they capture on film where somebody almost gets like there's a giant car crash and somebody's trying to walk across the street
Mm-hmm.
and all the stuff that after the car crashes like a flying tire or like debris completely barely misses that person.
Yeah, by like
Inches.
a inch or less.
Or whatever, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
how's that possible?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, there's like odds, right? But like at the same time, it's like,
Yeah,
dude, that's
I'm like,
insane.
Yeah, so yeah, I do believe that someone is watching out, you know, has to be. And then I don't know why, but did I tell you the one time I saw a ghost when I was driving?
You said you've never seen a
well,
ghost.
I don't know if I've seen a ghost or see. This is the thing. I don't know.
Is it really a ghost?
Yeah, or is it my imagination?
Yeah.
Right? This is why like I don't believe that I've seen a ghost because in my head I always justify it as
You're trying to rationalize it. No, it wasn't a ghost. It was just some dude.
So yeah, or like a shadow. Because I told you, I've never seen anything that's crisp. Like
I see.
Crisp.
So it's always like blurred. It's never
blurred.
like you and me looking at each other right now.
Or I always feel like the moment feels blurred.
Yeah. Or you bury it in your memory.
Yeah, but so I used to drive to underground. So back then, before they reconstructed that road, you have to drive through a railroad track.
Oh God!
So
there's some places it's always like hallways, freaking house.
Getting water and no, but so I would have
railroad tracks.
Yeah, because the freeway during those rush hours were jammed. So I knew a shortcut, and the shortcut was to
taking a shortcut.
My mom actually showed me that shortcut, so you can go thank her.
Yeah, don't go through the place where everybody else is going through. Go through this like dark little alley because it's gonna get you there faster.
But it did. Either if I took the freeway, it would
or
take
the haunted alley.
Okay.
Cool. Haunted alley it is if it gets me there a minute faster.
40 minutes, okay? Through the railroad track is 20. So I'm gonna take the 20.
I'm gonna throw that dice.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that dice. And that's how I went home. And there's no lights on that street because stop shaking your
You know
head.
what though? I hear what you're saying. I mean, if you live in LA or if you've
you would know.
grown up in traffic, I guess you would be willing to do that, even if you knew it's a haunted. Like,
I didn't know it was
street.
haunted.
I know. I'm just saying, if somebody knew it was a haunted street, they'll probably still opt out. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit through this LA traffic. It's gonna create rage.
I mean, if you sat through LA traffic, you would understand. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't judge me.
Anyways,
so anyway,
yes,
I would take, this railroad track, day in, day out, right? It's like no big deal. It's dark, but I know that there's a lot of accidents that happen there because on the side of the road, you would always see like flowers, candles, pictures.
Oh man, like little memorials.
Yeah, so I don't know because that road it was big. It's big, so I wonder. And there's no stoplights. It's like literally one of those streets where you just like gun, right? It's like, and the limit there is like 45 miles an hour.
Okay.
But if you know an LA street with 45 mile per hour,
Nobody
and
goes 45.
and no stoplights, and the street was long. It's like an accident waiting to happen.
People gun it all the time.
Yeah. So and then with the railroad tracks, sometimes like they come very fast, so it's an abrupt stop. Like it's just like that road was just built for like mistakes and
very
errors.
risque.
It's very risky, and I don't know why. When you're young, you don't think about stuff like that.
You just
right?
wanted to get to where you needed to go.
Yeah, because I had school to go to, I had work to go to, and I'm like, I just need a safe time.
Yeah, ghosts was the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, who thought about ghosts? So this one day I was driving home and it was kind of late. It was dark, right? There's no lights really on that street.
Yeah.
You know which street I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now it's completely different. So if you went there, you wouldn't understand. But back then, and suddenly I'm driving 45 miles an hour, pretty fast. It was dark. There's no cars. And then suddenly I saw like, it looked like a shadow or a person or a bike going across the street, and I slammed on the brakes, right? And my tires were screeching. Like I could barely control the car because I was slamming the brakes so hard. I could smell smoke coming out of
The burned rubber.
Yeah, the burned rubber. Because, you know, I thought I was going to hit somebody, right? I was terrified. And I went to an abrupt stop and there was nobody. But then yet here I am stepping on the brakes as if my life depended on it. And I didn't get out of the car because, you know, I'm scared because I could get kidnapped. I looked around, I looked at my mirrors, nothing. And I'm like, okay, oh no, please don't tell me I hit somebody. No, I inched up. I looked back at my mirrors. I looked around. Nothing. Nobody.
Why is it always gotta be those damn shadows? Like something just, something creepy about that.
Yeah.
Like in the corner of it's just always like in the corner of your eye, something just flies by.
But there must have been like something that triggered me to slam on those brakes, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, yeah, I told my mom about it and I never went back to those railroad tracks. I finished my college years sitting through the traffic. Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Or if it's daytime, then I would still, you know, take that street. But when it's nighttime, no, I'm going to sit through the traffic. I'm terrified.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, you know, to solidify, you know, what I saw or what I didn't see. Like when I got home, I did a full car inspection. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, you would have known.
I would have known
hit something.
Yeah. If I hit something, right, especially a person, you would know. Nothing.
But it looked like somebody biking, he said.
Yeah. It felt like it was
so
a
you saw
shadow.
a ghost bike.
Maybe.
A ghost biker.
Across the street or something.
Oh,
or something.
That's freaky.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like.
I'm telling you, man.
Something.
Like there's got to be some truth to this. It's like how else do you explain like people telling the similar stories across all religions, across all cultures, different parts of the world? People share these similar experiences, and it's not like people got together like how, right? To be like, let's create this myth or something, you know?
And I've been watching a lot of like those YouTube videos where they go to like haunted abandoned
You
houses.
watch the freaking weirdest things. Like every time I'm
Wait a minute, you get so entertained with my stories.
I do, but it's also funny because every time like I know what I like. I like sci-fi, I like dramas. Like when I watch shows, I'm looking for that specific genre. Whenever I peep over to see like what do you watch? What is this show? Like what is this random thing? You're such a curious soul that it's like I think you just go down this rabbit hole of like it doesn't matter what it is. It's so random. You know, one moment you're watching like that show,
rare genetic diseases.
Yeah.
To like
what like those kids that were like what is it, oversized kids or something like that.
Oversized kids.
Then there was like another one where we were watching like the world's most dangerous
ways to go to school.
I'm like, how do you search for this stuff, or like how do you even find it, you know? But anyways, in haunted houses.
Yeah, not haunted houses, just like it could be any place, like an island or
there's paranormal activity.
Yeah,
spotted.
Yeah,
or
yeah, and it's
something.
Abandoned, and you know it's crazy. Like some of these people, they experience like they'll smell something or like, you know, it's just like random things. They hear stuff or shadows.
So what happened on the show that was like so?
No, I'm just saying in general, right?
Oh,
like
you're just wanting to know.
Yeah, I'm just.
Well,
curious.
you're the one scaring yourself. Like, why are you watching that stuff?
I can't help it. They're so good.
It's curious, right? Like you just want to know like what happens or whatever.
But it's like you can't explain it.
You know, they're like speaking of those towns and stuff. I feel like aren't there towns like ghost towns, not like an actual like a vacant town, but like actual towns that are known to have a lot of that paranormal stuff happening.
Or like hotels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of haunted hotels too. Yeah.
Would you stay at
No.
one? Let's say they offered you a room for free. You wouldn't stay at a free hotel?
Even if they offered it for free.
Like a luxury hotel.
Pay me some money. No.
It's kind of like that old movie, it was it The Shining where they were at a hotel? No, it was. I don't know if it was a hotel, but it was like a haunted place, basically.
Really?
Ghosts, bartenders, and stuff like that. And he would see like all these random ghosts. He didn't know though, of course, at the time. But that was also him going crazy. But anyways, yeah, haunted hotels.
No, I don't think so. You can't pay me enough for that.
You know,
See, I just don't want to open Pandora's box. You know, like I don't know. I don't know what other world is lurking, but like I just don't want to open up a window for them for
it's
it
like
to-
why bring that
like,
stuff on you?
Yeah, I just I would prefer for things to be the way they are. Right?
Did you ever? This just reminded me of when I was a kid. I was like, whenever I would get scared of stuff like that, or I saw like something odd happens, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I would start speaking to the ghost or whatever. I'd be like, sorry, Mr. Ghost, like I am so sorry if I offended you or something. Like just I'm trying to like calm this wrathful like spirit or something, and I'm like just telling him, hey man, like I totally didn't mean to like drop that book. I don't, maybe you were sleeping or something. Like you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like try to speak to them and just let them know, like calm them down so that they don't get angry at you.
No. No.
Because like if you're especially at home by yourself, like sometimes you hear noises or something drops. That's never happened to you before?
Not really.
I remember when I was a kid that happened like a couple times when we were at home, and like a picture fell down, or like something that wasn't normally supposed to dropped, and then so there I remember like it happened, and I would try to ignore it. I'm like, oh, nothing happened. I didn't hear any noises. I didn't hear that wasn't anything dropping. It's just me by my home, and it's always at night, right?
Yeah.
And the lights are mostly off except in the room, like in the living room is where I usually hung out. And it's like you hear a noise, and I'm like, I didn't hear anything. I'm just gonna turn the volume up on my TV, at that time.
Yeah.
And then it would just happen again, and then I'm just like, I don't know, especially as a kid, you're kind of just freaked out,
Huh. But you know what? I don't know. Like, I know the first house that I lived on, I know that like whenever we went away out of town, like let's say to visit my uncle or something, like that house particularly, it was what you call a duplex.
Okay.
So,
there was always somebody there.
Yeah, or on the other side that, they could hear through the walls, right?
Right.
They always told us that they always heard water running if we left the water on.
Oh.
Like they said that they would hear like a bucket of water, or they're always hearing water like pouring or something. But but it's weird but I've never seen anything in that house.
Huh.
But yet every time we went away,
the neighbors would report something going on.
The neighbor would report to us that they always heard water or something, someone turning on the water.
Oh, that's so freaky. Can you imagine? It's just like,
well, I don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm just saying like random noises or like just little things. It doesn't even have to be like you have to see something.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you can't see it, but you hear it, it's even worse.
Yeah,
like a little creaking or like, oh my God.
I don't think I can sleep after this episode. Now I'm like really scared.
Well, good thing we're doing this like earlier in the day when the light's out, but who knows what happens when the lights go off, Okay, we're leaving all the lights on today.
Yeah, I'm not turning off the lights today.
Yeah. And you know what's scary too? Like I always like I'm gonna ask you too, but like what scares you the most? Because especially like growing up with like in the 90s, and like this was, to me, it was like the golden age too of like all these horror movies.
Yeah, I think it's because all these like witch like movies started coming out, like
The Craft.
And, and I just felt like there was like a lot of like shops that sold those
charms and things like that.
Yeah, like it became very popular, I felt like.
Yeah, but also like I'm talking about the classics, like Freddy Krueger, Leprechaun, Jason, Hellraiser, Chucky. So speaking of Chucky, the little dolls.
I see.
I always hear that they did such a good job with that. Like that
Yeah.
scared the crap out of kids like growing up,
I don't
right?
I don't
Like a little doll with a knife just running around, and same thing, right? Little shadow, like it just runs by and you hear it. It's like, where is it?
Yeah. See, after Chucky, I think I threw away all my dolls.
Well, so this
Especially the ones that were blinking.
movie, it was a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's called Child's Play, and basically it's about this doll, or basically the premise of the story is that there's this inmate that died or got killed. He was like a murderer, right? A serial killer, and when he died, somehow his soul got transferred into this doll, which is the Chucky doll. And basically that's kind of the premise, right?
Yeah.
I think from what I recall, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Correct me if I'm
really
wrong.
remember.
Forgive me if I'm wrong on
I
this,
just know
but-
it's a killer doll, and that's
and
all
so
I can
then
remember.
that doll, now that it's possessed, when a kid buys him, they didn't realize obviously it's haunted or whatever, possessed, and then it starts killing people. It's kind of
so scary.
Yeah.
But I was watching.
Dolls are freaky.
Yeah,
Like-
like even now, I think you can go on like eBay and buy things that are possessed,
Oh, what?
like possessed dolls, or
why would you do that?
yeah,
Like,
and there's like history on the doll, or like history on like the item, why
I
it's
see.
haunted. Like you can still buy them, and I believe it too.
oh
It's
my
like
goodness.
you never know, like if people can trap spirits in certain items,
Yeah.
or it belongs to somebody, right? I don't know. This is why I get scared buying. I mean, as much as I would love to have like a nice like vintage dress, or like furniture. But then sometimes I get
Oh.
scared. I'm like, what if it belongs to somebody that doesn't want me to
You
have it?
believe like that energy, right?
Yeah, that energy. I'm like, what if they don't want anyone to touch their possession, right?
Oh my goodness.
So that's
yeah.
that's why I always go into these vintage stores, like drooling over like these gorgeous gowns.
Mhm.
But
It was worn by
but I
so
always
and so.
but I always get scared because I'm like, what if they don't want me to have it, and then they haunt me for it or something?
Or like a comb or whatever, like a
because
piece
there's a
of
lot of
trinket. Yeah.
gorgeous like vintage stuff, but I just don't know how I feel about taking.
What's the energy? Yeah.
Yeah, or I don't know enough about the energy world. Like people say that they cleanse it. They cleanse the energy.
So you have to perform like a ritual or something, right?
I know
on it
some people
before-
do. I mean, some people they just wash it, right? But
that would probably be me. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just
But-
wash it with some soap. It's cool, dude.
yeah,
Like,
but I've heard like people who actually like try to
Yeah.
cleanse out the
what, sage? Throw some
or I don't know.
splash some sage on it.
See, I just don't know enough, right? And I
Yeah.
just don't want to. I don't want to mess with it because I don't understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm
It's kind of like an investment. You don't want to invest in something you don't know.
yeah. I mean, I know I'm kind of like taking it a little bit lightly, but at the same time, it's like
But you
it-
understand.
I understand
right?
and I recognize that is something because you don't understand it and you can't explain it. I'm gonna err on the side of
safety.
yeah. I'd rather just not mess with it to begin with. You know.
And
But I always like the dolls. I always remember just like a little doll like in your house, imagine, or action figure or something, and then like you see its eyes like moving left or right, like shifting. You just always imagine that happening, or like it starts moving and
but
getting
they
up
look
on its
creepy.
own. Some do. Some of those dolls.
like they blink. They blink. Their eyes move.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I could just imagine them
And they make
sitting
them
up
pretty
or something.
lifelike in some cases
Yes,
too.
and they
Like
feel
especially the little babies,
yeah,
right?
and they feel very lifelike, like very like soft and like
It's got the hair and everything.
yeah, and some of
Oh,
them
it's so
cry. Some
freaky.
of them will start crying.
Can you imagine like if you had one of those and then at night, like
it just starts crying out
yeah,
of nowhere?
yeah.
Oh no. I think throw it out the window or something.
Let me just throw it and then it shows up back into
don't
your
say
house.
that. Now you're scaring me.
Oh, we're not gonna be able to go to sleep anymore.
No.
But I think with this kind of stuff, it's crazy because, like, I don't know. I mean, it's Halloween, right? And it's that holiday where people kind of, I don't know if celebrate is the right word. It's more like, well, I don't know how would you explain it? It's that time where people, it's more open to talk about stuff like that, right? Like ghosts and spirits and supernatural monsters, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like that's at least the appropriate time. It doesn't really. Where else during the year do you have a chance to kind of commemorate or talk a little bit about that stuff?
Yeah.
It's almost like you get together and you can share
It's almost like you just want to tune it out your head
the rest of the year. Yeah,
the rest of the year, and then it's like this
Halloween.
one time during the year or the month, right?
Yeah.
The month of October, where you feel like, okay, this is the time when you can like
let it all
out and then close the box again.
Yeah, it's kind of like we come together, we share our experiences. I remember as kids, we would always like get together and during this time too, to like share ghost stories, or like, it's so silly, right? Like you had the flashlight, and did you ever do that as a kid?
You
Like with
shine
your
it on
friends?
your face.
Yeah, and then you would have to tell your ghost story and all that stuff. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. As an adult,
yeah, I'm not sure.
It's so funny because like how some of these things, like I was saying, we still carry them to this day. It doesn't matter how old you get. It's just those are experiences you have and some encounters. I do remember too, like it wasn't brought up until we were just talking about doing this episode today, where I was telling you I recalled now thinking about it. There was one time when I was sleeping, and I remember just waking up in the middle of the night, and it felt like heavy, like someone was standing on my chest or something, like something, right? I couldn't breathe, and it wasn't like for a couple of seconds, right? And it felt very heavy, like your body's like paralyzed. I feel like other people have experienced this before. I don't know if you have, but no. I remember talking to somebody and they experienced something similar, and it's just all odd. Like, how do you explain that? You know? It's very freaky. And so do you remember that movie we saw together? It kind of reminds me of that too, where it was like, it was a big movie. You and we saw it when we were first starting to date. Remember? And the chicks like dressed up outside as like that scary costume.
No.
We saw this movie. I forgot what it was called, but it was like an image of a ghost or somebody hovering over you while you're sleeping, and they're just watching you.
Okay, I don't think I saw that movie with
No,
you.
we did. Really? And then when we walked out, there was they scared somebody because they dressed up as like that ghost or something.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I just tried to block that.
It's repressing all these memories.
Yeah. See, I don't like stuff like that. Like, I don't like things where I can't explain.
I know.
It freaks me out.
Yeah, but it's Halloween, so it's fine. Halloween week, right? we get to share this, and then we can close that part for another year.
For another year, yeah.
But I think it's cool. I like the holiday. I like just this time of year, just to celebrate a little bit of being able to dress up and stuff like that. Candy's good. Maybe that sweetens the deal a little bit, huh?
Sure.
Calms the stress and the nerve a little bit. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, if I could take anything away from, some of our experiences with this supernatural stuff and just talking about it, it's kind of like you got to trust your instincts sometimes, Yeah. If something doesn't feel right, or if something intuitively feels off, I think we have to learn how to better pay attention to that sense, because it is something that we have, I think, as human beings. You can feel the energy or the presence or something. Yeah. And it can help you in life, if you're able to hone that skill or that sense.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like a muscle, right? The more you trust yourself, the more you trust your instincts, the better it gets. And I feel like, if you really strengthen that skill, I would call it a skill, or that sense, that sixth sense that you have, whatever. I don't know. Sixth sense is not I see dead bodies, but that sense that that helps protects you. I feel like it could get you.
It can help you a lot in life.
Yeah, a lot in life, and like
not
steer
just with
you.
the spiritual realm.
Yeah, like
but,
steer you away from danger.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So I know it's kind of a weird segue, but it's kind of like one of those things that what can we take from these experiences other than like some entertainment value, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I've learned is kind of like just trust yourself. It's okay, right? Like listen to
it's
your
okay
body.
if you can't even explain what happened, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that if something didn't feel right and you walked out of there, you know what? That's great.
It's all good.
You listen to yourself and you probably save yourself from something bad.
Oh man, don't say that.
You never know.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's it for our episode, our Halloween special.
If you have any stories, please share with us.
Yeah, for this curious soul over here. Would love to hear some of your experiences
or
encounters. Oh man, yeah.
Let us
I'd be
know.
interested to hear.
Please share with us.
Yeah, you can comment on our Instagram page and share with us. We'll probably put a post up when we release this episode, and let us know like what your experience was, or if you had an interesting story to tell us about.
Yeah.
Other than that, happy Halloween, everybody, and make sure to again check out our Instagram page and YouTube channel at Magnetic Mismatch. And if you enjoyed this episode, enjoy our podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
And we release new episodes every Thursday. And please do share our content with your family and friends. And subscribe to us.
Yeah, and I guess after this episode, hopefully you might have to leave the lights on. All right, guys, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.